My name is David Servine. I'm the General Manager of Channelloom Letter Edge Company. We really appreciate your choosing our innovative system for fabricating channel letters. This DVD is intended to show you the basics of building Channelloom Letter Edge channel letters. We can also provide training at our factory in Washington State. To start with, a channel letter business assumes you have sign building experience and equipment generally used to produce signs that are commercially acceptable. Letter Edge is a simplified system for channel letter fabrication that allows you to successfully handcraft channel letters that using very basic tools. Your commitment to mastering skills required will result in producing quality channel letters that provide your customer with a sign unmatched in visual appeal. Making channel letters is only one part of the job. Whether illuminated with LEDs or with neon, channel letters must conform to electrical safety rules enforced in the jurisdiction where the channel letters are to be installed. Letter Edge is a UL recognized component and qualifies for use in a sign that is certified by a qualified electrical testing laboratory. For conditions of use of Letter Edge, please refer to UL Sign Component Manual, otherwise known as SAM. To get the most out of using the Letter Edge system, some basic equipment has to be used that you will see in this training video. One is the bending tool, which is the Easy Bender. It's a pneumatic operated bending tool. The other item is the roller, which is used to make radiuses. Another item is a leveler, which is used to flatten the coils out after they're pulled off of the shipping coils. Another item is the starter kit. The starter kit contains some basic things that are needed to fabricate letters with Letter Edge, including a file, a couple glue bottles, and some other items that you'll see being used. Another item is the letter pattern printer. For companies that have access to using CNC equipment for producing letter faces, this tool can be used to print a template, a full-size template of all the bends that need to be made in the letter return material to match the letter face. Also, during the letter building demonstration, you're going to see some basic hand tools that will be used, many of which are already in your sign shop. They're described in detail on our brochure here, Getting Started brochure, tools, equipment, and supplies. These include supplies like pop rivets, sheet metal screws, and equally as important is the solvent cement that's used to hold the letters together. Now that we've seen the basic tools and supplies that we need, the third thing that we need is we need a place to fabricate the letters. And there's a couple choices, either to use a metal tabletop or to use a pegboard tabletop that utilizes pegs, dowel pins, and wedges. And as you can see here, the wedges are placed around the letter to hold it in place while it's being glued. Now it's important to understand how that the fabrication table is put together using pegboard. First of all, what you do is you start with a sheet of plywood, 1/2 inch plywood. Then a 1/4 inch spacer is chased around the plywood and down the center. And then on top of that, we set the pegboard, and then we put another spacer in, and the pegboard on top of that. The reason for that is so that when the pegs are inserted into here, that they have a rigid position for using the wedges and jigging the letters. The tools and equipment that are used to fabricate Letter Edge need to be mounted on a rigid table or bench. What we have here is the way that we've handled this. The bending tool, the Easy Break, has been built into this table. There's a filing platform. There's a foot pedal that is placed on a rigid surface so it can be easily actuated. We've also mounted the leveler down at this end of the table along with a coil holder in which the coil fits in as it's played out off of the shipping reel. And then lastly, we've put the rolling device over here on this corner of the table. So on this one table, we basically have a letter shop. It's recommended that you have a second table that can be used to also fabricate and jig letters on, such as this. Now that we've seen all the basic equipment and the recommendations for setting up how to build channel letters with letter edge, our master letter maker, Jack Orino, is going to show us the basics for making channel letters with letter edge. Jack?
For shops that have the CNC router cutting ability to cut the face and the back, you can use that file to generate a paper pattern using our letter pattern printer. And that makes a very accurate template of the perimeter of the letter, showing where the letter is to be rolled and shaped and so forth. You could also use, even though you have letters cut out by CNC method, you can still use the hand measuring layout tape, and that's a shop decision. We're going to fabricate the radius L using the hand layout method, and this requires using the butyrate layout tape, which is a plastic tape. This is specifically designed to be used with letter edge because it's 040 thick, which mimics the point at which the letter edge is going to be glued to the acrylic face. So the first step that you would do in fabricating a letter, there will be the letter edge is going to follow the perimeter of the acrylic face, and so there will be a point where the two edges are joined, and we refer to that point as a tab joint. Normally we put the tab at the top of the letter so it'll be out of sight from the viewer on ground level. And so I've used this indication here to indicate that the tab is going to be attached to this stroke of the letter and fold over the top. We start at that point measuring, and in a counterclockwise direction from left to right. We go around the perimeter of the letter. Now, I've pre-marked this letter to show the important features of it. This is the beginning of the outside or the roll or arc up of the metal, and this is the end of that outside or arc up. This is outside corner number 1 or bend up number 1, number 2, and this is a reverse break. I call it a reverse break or an inside break. It's also referred to as a bend down. This is the point number 3, and then the end of the letter. And as we measure this letter, we're going to transfer these markings to the butyrate layout tape, and then as accurately as possible, then we're going to transfer those measurements to the letter edge. So the first thing that we'll do is take our layout tape and, using our all-surface Stabilo pencil, indicate about a 1-inch tab that will fold over the top of the letter. Now, a fundamental to remember, regardless of the letter font that you're building, is that when you make a measurement for an outside or a bend up, the mark, the single mark that you make on the butyrate layout tape has to extend past the edge of the plex letter about the thickness of the pencil, or the thickness of this butyrate layout tape, thickness of the pencil mark, excuse me. So that is where I'm going to position the butyrate layout tape just past the edge of the plex letter. Now, holding that position securely, I'll walk the butyrate layout tape down to the next point, and I'll indicate that this is the beginning of the outside roll. And the end of the outside roll, or the outside arc up. And then walking it down to the first break point, and a single stroke of the pencil extending past the edge of the letter, because the letter edge is going to fold around. So we need to allow for the thickness of that letter edge that's going to fold around the corner, and that's why we add the thickness of 040 to that measurement. I identify or transfer this mark, number 1, to my layout tape. And then we'll position again on the outside of this stroke and walk it down to position number 2, indicating that slightly past the corner, and this is number 2. On this stroke, we start slightly on the outside, and on a reverse or an inside break, instead of extending past the cut line of the letter, we're going to indicate it short of the corner, and that will be a reverse break or a bend down. Then starting again slightly short of that cut out corner on the face, securely hold the butyrate in place, and again here we're going to mark it just past the edge of the letter, and this is position number 3. And starting again at position number 3, just slightly past the corner to the end of the letter perimeter, and that is our cut line. Now, we mentioned that if you have the CNC ability to cut out this letter face, you can use the letter pattern printer to generate a paper pattern. And this is the paper pattern that would be generated for this particular letter. Now, if you compare the markings, you can see that my marks indicate the same thing that the letter pattern indicates. This is the tab. Here's the beginning and ending of the curve. This is position 1, 2, and 3. The reverse break, excuse me, 1, 2, the reverse break, and position number 3, and the end of the letter. Okay, so we're going to build the letter, the radius L, using the hand layout butyrate tape first. So we're going to pull our letter edge material through the leveler to remove the coil set. And then we're going to transfer the markings that we made on our butyrate layout tape to the letter edge as accurately as we possibly can. We're starting on our left side, and we're working from same direction, counterclockwise, to the right from the left. And we're going to transfer, that's the tab, the indication. This is the beginning and the outside end of the outside roll. This is point number 1. This is outside break point number 2. This is the reverse or the inside break. The outside break number 3. And this is the end of the stroke, the end of the letter, and that's our cut line. At this point, we use our square and scribe, and we're going to scribe off the cut line, the cut point, and then separate the letter material that is required for this letter from the rest of the coil. The next step is to use the square and scribe off all of the outside and inside breaks, or bend up and bend down. We do not scribe the roll points. Okay, now we have all of our markings transferred to the letter edge, and we have all of the points scribed off. So the next step is to actually build the connecting point, the tab, where these two ends of metal will meet on the letter.